The Texas A&M Aggies take Game 1 in the College World Series Finals over Tennessee. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. Guys, make sure you check out our friends over at MyBookie as well, mybookie.ag, using promo code SECU at sign-up to get that special welcome offer on your first deposit. Guys, a first deposit match of up to $1,000. MyBookie, proud sponsors of our trip to Omaha and all of our College World Series coverage. So again, that's our friends at MyBookie, mybookie.ag, promo code SECU to get your first deposit match today. Gig 'em! Texas A&M takes Game 1 of the College World Series final by a final score of 9-5. They are now just one win away from clinching their first national championship on the diamond. And for Tennessee, it's back to the drawing board. A little bit too late, the comeback they tried to mount. And guys, when you take a look at this ball game, number one, speaking of MyBookie, played the under 11.5. That turned out to be a terrible play. I did not think the pitching was going to be as suspect as it was, especially from the Tennessee side. And guys, that's where I want to start. And if you follow along on social media, you probably heard me say earlier that I picked Tennessee to win this series. I picked Tennessee to take 2 of 3 and win the national title. But I did have Texas A&M winning this game tonight in Game 1. And the reason, guys, was this, and I think you saw it sort of play out. I was not totally surprised by what we saw. Felt really good about the pitching matchup for Texas A&M. And I think Texas A&M, guys, top to bottom, with what they had in Game 1, with Ryan Prager on the bump starting, Evan Aschenbeck waiting in the wings in the bullpen, Stewart as well in the bullpen, who's been fantastic for them, Cortez just in case they needed him. I thought that group of pitching, that group of pitchers, if you will, was better than what Tennessee was going to roll out there tonight. And guys, we'll start with Tennessee with the opener situation. Listen, Tony Vitello has crapped out more baseball than you or I or any of us will ever know, right? We probably don't even have the ground to stand on to question Tony Vitello. Tony Vitello should not have to answer to you or to me or to anyone else. But guys, I am not a fan of the openers in baseball. I never have been, and I never will be. The openers in baseball, to me, and if you don't know what an opener is by now, an opener is what Chris Stamos serves as for Tennessee. A guy to come out there, steal 3 outs, steal 6 outs, and then you hand the ball over to your starter, and you let him take over. Guys, that was one of the biggest reasons I had confidence in Texas A&M coming into this ball game. We saw it against Florida State, and I know it's worked for Tennessee. I get that, guys. I know it's worked for Tennessee. But if you're telling me coming into a series like this, hey, you're either going to side with the horse and a guy like Ryan Prager, the stud on this side, or you're going to side with the opener. You got to roll your dice with one. You got to trust one. Which one you going with? I'm going with Ryan Prager in Texas A&M. I'm going with the ace starter every single time, especially when, guys, just 8 days ago, we saw Florida State expose the whole opener thing, right? Give kudos, guys, again, to Texas A&M. The reason I thought they would win Game 1 is because of the pitching. Ryan Prager, I thought, was really, really good. Stewart out of the bullpen, guys, was fantastic. Thought they might have left him in there a little bit long, but he was really good. Aschenbeck as well. 7 strikeouts for him in 2 2/3 innings pitch. He was as advertised. Be curious to see if he can go tomorrow. 46 pitches. Not exactly sure he will. And then, guys, the Texas A&M offense. And we talked about this earlier in the week, that Texas A&M was not going to be able to out-Tennessee. They're not going to be able to outslug them. They're not going to be able to out-home run them, but they can beat them death by 1,000 paper cuts. And I think that's what you're seeing with the Texas A&M lineup, guys. It's just guy after guy after guy. Hey, pass the baton. And, oh, by the way, I say they can't outslug them. I mean, Gavin Grahovic starts this game off with a bomb. You've got Caden Kent, who – what a story that kid is. You know, you look back, guys, over history. most, if not every single team that wins it all, that wins the College World Series, that goes on a run in the postseason, especially when you have an injury like A&M had with Braden Montgomery, they have someone step up, right? They have heroes emerge, and they have a specific guy who sort of comes out of nowhere and plays his best baseball. Guys, I'm telling you right now, and I don't have all the numbers in front of me. If you take the numbers that Caden Kent has put together, if you take the numbers that Caden Kent has put together, if I would have told you that's what Caden Kent's going to do, if I would have told you that, or if I would have told you Braden Montgomery would do that, maybe you would not have even believed me. That's how special Caden Kent has been, guys. 4 more RBI in this game tonight. I mean, 3 more hits for him. He had the big home run there. He has been incredible, right? And you need guys like that to step up, especially when, again, you had the Braden Montgomery injury. You're looking around saying, okay, Jace Lavalette is 60%, 70%. Guys, the scary part is this. Texas A&M scored 9 runs in this ball game, guys. Jace Lavalette didn't even have a hit. Didn't even have a hit. He's not even a big part of their offense right now. Appel with 2 hits. Schott with 2 hits. You had Sorrell with 2 hits. Kent with 4 hits. 3 hits. It's just, we talked about all week again. Pass the baton, pass the baton, pass the baton. Next man up. That's what Texas A&M has been doing so well. I will say for Tennessee now, tough loss in game 1. Like I mentioned, guys, I like Texas A&M in game 1. They were my pick to win game 1, even though I picked Tennessee to win the series, because I simply thought the pitching matchup favored Texas A&M more. With that being said, what I will say for Tennessee, if you're trying to look at the bright spots, you're trying to look for the positives, this series is far from over. You've got your dude. You've got now your dude on the bump tomorrow in Drew Beam. And I think the way you finished that game offensively, I think there were some things there you can take away as positives. I think there are things that are encouraging. Dylan Dreiling, he was fantastic. 4 for 5 in the ball game, 2 RBI for him. Hunter Inslee, 3 for 5 with 2 ribbies. You saw kind of late, right, starting to put some things together. The big home run there late in the ball game, I believe that was from Dreiling. I'm starting to get my names mixed up here. Either way, though, you saw some things later in this ball game come together for the offense. Guys, Christian Moore went 0 for 5 tonight. And as much as you tip the cap to Texas A&M and their pitching staff and what they did, Christian Moore is not typically going to go 0 for 5, guys. And that's just, I think that's happened one other time. Maybe, I think he's gone 0 for 4, I think, twice. I don't know if he's gone 0 for 5 twice. Either way, you know Christian Moore is not going to go 0 for 5 every night. So, you know, I think the bigger problem tonight for Tennessee was the pitching. You just, guys, in a game like this, in a situation like this, on a stage like this, when you're competing for the national title, you can't fall down 7-1 early on in the ball game against the Texas A&M team. Guys, that was one of our keys going in. Hey, Tennessee can't get in a hole. Can't get in a hole, because here's the thing. All A&M's got to do, guys, with this pitching staff, get to the 6th inning with a lead. And it doesn't have to be a 6-run lead, 5-run lead, with a 1-run lead, 2-run lead. With Aschenbeck and Cortez in the back end, they're going to be really, really, really hard to beat. So, again, if you're trying to look for positives, if you're Tennessee, I think the way you swung it late, because that's the biggest thing, guys. When you're down, 9-1, 9-2, you're just looking, hey, let's just one guy at a time. Let's build some momentum. Let's have something to feel good about going into tomorrow. We don't feel totally lost, right? And I think you got that somewhat. But at the end of the day, I think for Tennessee, guys, you just got to flush it. You got to flush this ball game. You got your guy in Drew Beam on the bump. Listen, again, Tony Vitello, I'm a huge Tony Vitello guy. I've mentioned before, guys, there's not a coach out there. If I was starting a program tomorrow, Tony Vitello would be my first and my only pick to run my program. Really, truly. Like, I'm a huge Tony Vitello guy. I don't get the strategy with the opener. I just don't get it. I'm just, it's not for me. I'm not a fan of openers. This isn't a Tennessee thing. I'm not a fan of the whole opener strategy. I understand that Causey, apparently, he likes to come out of the bullpen. I'm not a fan of it. Find a starter, man. You're Tennessee. Move Drew Beam to Friday. I don't know. Move Beam to game 1. Like, I'm not a fan of it. I never have been. I probably never will be. And it's one of those things, guys, hindsight's 2020. If it worked out well, Causey went 6 innings, we'd be having a different conversation. But that was one of the biggest reasons I felt so confident in Texas A&M. So, guys, we'll jump into a couple of your comments here. Again, you guys are here, Texas A&M fans celebrating. I think there's some Tennessee folks in here as well. We'll jump into some comments. Aggies put together professional at-bats all year. That is how they beat you. Yeah, I mean, I think Texas A&M takes very professional at-bats. They work counts. And again, they just had a bunch of guys step up. Man, it's not – they don't have the star power that maybe a Tennessee has or many others in the College World Series had. But it's just a bunch of dudes, man. Like I said, pass the baton. That was my key for Texas A&M. Pass the baton, get it to the next guy. Get it to the next guy. That's all you got to do. Texas A&M does a really, really, really good job of that. Let's see. We'll go back to the beginning here. We had a couple comments. Tex says, Tennessee hasn't seen pitching like the Aggies. Listen, A&M pitching, very good. Justin Lamp, can I believe tomorrow? I don't even know if Texas A&M knows who they're starting tomorrow. So more on that tomorrow, though. Foxtown, hate to say it, but Tennessee ain't ready for this whooping again tomorrow. He also says, don't worry, this team just can't handle the pressure. The pitching from A&M was all there. Not Reed, 1, 2, 3. Tennessee is Drew Bean tomorrow. Pitched over 50 times, pitched a lot in that stadium, in my opinion, still sets up really good for Tennessee tomorrow and Monday if played. Again, looking ahead to tomorrow, I agree with you. I think it swings back in favor of Tennessee when the pitching matchups. I never liked the pitching matchup today, guys. I never liked it. I mean, you saw what Ryan Prager did in his last start against Kentucky. You had him coming back out. And I know people were saying the Tennessee lineup, you can't hold them down. But this time of year, guys, with all the pressure and the what's on the line, I think that's one of the reasons typically great pitching beats great hitting, and I think that's what you saw, right? And also, too, it's just when you fall in that 7-1 hole, guys. We mentioned this earlier in the week that you came back against Florida State, but you can't make a living doing that. You can't make a living being in a hole like that, 7-1, and expect your offense to bail you out. And here was the difference, guys. Here was the difference. You were down in that game against Florida State, and Christian Moore went Superman mode. I mean, he went crazy, right? Hit for the cycle. You didn't have a performance like that tonight. Christian Moore went 0 for 5. And again, that's not going to normally happen, but you can't ask Christian Moore every time you get down, hey, man, we need you to hit for the cycle. So your Tennessee, it's a very obvious thing, but you can't fall down like that early. And the opener situation, again, I'm not a fan. I think it puts you in those types of situations, again, especially when you're facing off against what Texas A&M had in the bump in this game. Let's see. We'll take another comment here. Jeffrey, Texas A&M isn't going to have the same approach UNC did. Beam isn't going to have 30 pitches through 4 innings. I'm sure that's something, Jeffrey, it's a good point, and I'm sure that's something Texas A&M will talk about. I mean, certainly you got to work counts. A&M loves to work counts. Again, they take very professional at bats, like somebody mentioned earlier. But it's going to be a fun matchup for sure. And we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Again, looking ahead, I think it's a really fun matchup. I think the matchup swings in favor of Tennessee. Doesn't mean Texas A&M can't win the ball game, but I do give Tennessee the nod in regards to the advantage on the mound because Texas A&M guys, they don't even know they're starting. Is it going to be Lampkin? Is it going to be somebody else? Again, you're in a good spot when you're up 1-0, but Tennessee does have their dude in Drew Beam on the bump. They're going to feel confident about that. Again, I think they did Tennessee did generate some positive momentum into that game. They didn't swing it great. You look at the numbers, though, guys. I think double-digit hits. You had 12 hits for Tennessee in this game. They had opportunities. I mean, Tennessee had opportunities, just couldn't cash them in. Had 12 hits in the ballgame. One of the big things, too, guys, I don't have the numbers here, or maybe I do. Anyways, yes, here we go. 17 strikeouts for this Tennessee lineup. 17 strikeouts. That is kudos to Texas A&M's pitching staff, but also you got to take better at bats, put the baseball in play, give yourself a chance. LSU fan comments and says, I don't think Beam giving up 7 runs and can expect more to have another bad game. I expect a dogfight tomorrow. And I would agree with the LSU fan. I would agree. Again, Christian Moore's not going to go 0 for 5 again. You don't have an opener situation. So I think Tennessee will bounce back. But with that being said, huge win. It's gig 'em all the way around. It turned up Aggies tonight. This Texas A&M team. And coming in, guys, Tennessee was this huge favorite. And deservedly so, right? What Tennessee's done all year long. But I think too many people were sleeping on Texas A&M. Some people thought this was going to be an easy, just 2 games and done series. I said no matter what, guys, 3 games. This series is probably going to go to 3 games. Texas A&M now put themselves in a great position now with the 1-0 advantage. Really a fantastic game across the board with what Prager gave you on the bump, what the bullpen gave you. We talked about how good the bullpen for Texas A&M is. Stewart was fantastic. His stuff was filthy. Aschenbeck coming out of the bullpen, obviously, I think it was a smart move there by Schlossnagel when the game got to 9-5. Don't mess around anymore, right? You know what this Tennessee offense can do. Bring in your guy. He was fantastic. He was as advertised. And again, you passed the baton. You kept chipping away. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, and you had just enough power in the lineup. RHOBACK setting the tone early with that leadoff home run. Caden Kent just continues to be Mr. College World Series. This man can do no wrong in the postseason. He's having a phenomenal Omaha, of course. And, I really thought Texas A&M took the fight to the Tennessee Volunteers. A 9-5 win. Gig 'em up 1-0 in the College World Series Finals. Excited to see what Game 2 has in store. Guys, that's going to do it all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. And thank you to those that commented, interacted. Would love to hear from you more so in the future. Guys, again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And yes, we will be live right here after the game, immediately following the game tomorrow. And if there's a game on Monday, yep, you can find us here as well, right after the final pitch has been thrown. Guys, again, Texas A&M, 9-5 winners. Game 1, they are up 1-0 in the series. We'll see what Game 2 has in store. Guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered, as always. Appreciate you all tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.